Welcome to a 3-minute army primer on the erudite arse kickers of the Kings of War universe. It's the ever-lovable Ogres! Single-minded, money-driven, hulking balls of muscle, the Ogres are a classic choice with a great mantic range. They're generally perceived as the army for people that like to walk up and just punch you in the face, which is true. However, there's also a gap there for clever scenario play and using the brain sitting atop your brawn, rather appropriately for these apparently intellectual brutes. So which from our list of archetypes are suitable? This one maybe isn't such a surprise. Ogres are tough as hell, and while the general ogre horde nerve is a standard unimpressive 15-17, they have a ton of heal or drain life options and a mixture of defense 6 and ensnare that makes this extremely viable. In a way, mixed arms feels like a disservice to Ogre's strength, which is the fact that every single unit, including every hero, has unit strength. What that means is that they can combine strategic shooting from heroes with blocks of powerful melee and shooting units to really dominate scenario play where gaming objectives and loot via unit strength are key. And of course you can always go to extremes. Thanks to stealth and cover rule changes, the old shooter boomer lightning bolt train is not quite the beast it was, even more so now shooters are irregular, but you can still devastate some armies with overwhelming firepower if you know you're going to be that guy. When it comes to Ogres, it's hard to avoid how strong the Siegebreaker meta is. They're a kick-ass centre for any line and punch as hard as anything. It's got to the point where it's a welcome relief to not see 3 hordes of Siegebreakers, to be frank. And another seemingly mandatory addition to any Ogre lineup, the newly returned Halpi's Rift powered up Uber Warlock himself is generally featured in any Ogre list. Why? Because he's ridiculous for the price, plus giving Vicious to anyone he heals makes him a steadfast part of any grinding line. Appropriately named, the Bully is another one of those mini dragon type characters, albeit without the wings. Floating down the flank, they're fearless, punch stupidly hard for their price, and the wild charge catches out more people than you believe. Why not take 2? In fact, why not take 3? Honourable mention goes to a less frequently seen but awesome addition to the list, Goblin named hero Kuzlo and his stackable dread causing lizard Steve Madfall isn't seen in many of the punch face lists but is seen in the cleverer scenario playlists. He's just got a very nasty set of abilities that means you need to spend more time and points dealing with him than he's worth. So, the main problem with Ogres is that they don't have much of a response to ranged armies, and that particularly applies to artillery, which tends to decimate their lines thanks to their height and relatively low nerves. They're liable to waver at unpleasant times, and there's not a lot you can do about it. The only other weakness is that I'm going to call you all boring for taking nothing but Siegebreakers. There, I said it. You're boring. In summary, Ogres are a flexible, powerful force who can bring exceptionally manoeuvrable unit strength to scenario play, backed up by some of the most efficient melee units in the game. Plus, since they're almost entirely large infantry, you don't even have to paint many models, which makes them a great starter army with a 1 out of 5 on the newbie difficulty scale for their pick up and playability.